Hi there, everybody. I think we're ready to go here. Thank you for joining us on our regular sort of first Thursday of every month webinar. I appreciate you guys being here, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. Hope everyone had a great holiday. I want to introduce my my other panelists, my two partners, Stephen Weinstein, who's our CEO and co-founder, and Alice Newhouser is our CFO and just was announced as the winner of the CFO of the Year award here in Los Angeles for small business. So I welcome my partners and welcome everyone to the webinar. So today we're going to talk about the mechanics of how Seismic selects companies for its portfolio and how we make sure that we're being good and sensible stewards to our mandate and investors' money.
Yeah, I think we've done a really good job of setting a process and making sure that we are adhering to it.
Eric, you run the deal team, and at this stage, you've looked at more than 350 companies. We're at a point where we expect we'll announce soon our first investments. Maybe talk a little bit about what you've seen and what the characteristics are for a good seismic company.
Thank you, Stephen. We've talked about this before in our previous webinars. Stephen and I were seeing many small companies that needed financing. And his background, both Stephen and myself have great experience in investment banking and putting together capital for transactions. But these particular companies didn't just need capital. They also needed business support. And that really was a genesis for Seismic. Our view is let the entrepreneurs and founders do what they do best, and that is product, sales, team leadership, technology. And now that we're up and running, we can provide both the capital and that back office support. That really is not what these folks want to do. And it's not how we're going to really generate, they're not going to generate, money for us and capital for us. So we handle that back office for them. And first off, we want companies with great ideas that can change an industry or invent a whole new category. We want companies run by ethical and inspiring leaders. We have a value statement as part of our mandate. And we want companies that can benefit from working with us, with our wonderful board of advisors that you guys can see on our website.
Yeah, I think that part of what we bring to the table and all of that is that we've all run companies and fixed companies and sold companies and had pretty successful careers managing that piece of the business. And so part of what we can bring to both our investors as well as our portfolio companies are really steady, competent backing for our investments.
And patient capital.
Right.
The way we've set up Seismic means we can give our companies the time to do things right, not just fast. We've talked about that extensively on our previous webinars.
Yeah, I absolutely. Now back to the process. Yes, we've looked at 350 plus companies, more than that. Many or most of them weren't something we would pursue. We can't like every one of them. An idea that didn't scale, perhaps, a management team that didn't seem to work, a business that wouldn't fit within our structure. We'll show you a slide in a few minutes of 4 companies that we're working on closing right now, and we can get into some of the particulars of those companies.
Eric, it's probably worth mentioning that the companies also need to fit within our diversified investment strategy, and they also have to fit within our holding company structure. And since we issue qualified small business stock, we have to make sure they don't work in industries that are off limits to us. Industries like farming.
Yeah, so after we like a company, let's talk about what happens then, because this is where our underwriting kicks in, which is a pretty unique model, we think.
And it's not just for the faint at heart. Sorry, it's not for the faint at heart. Let's say that the right way.
Right.
We suggest you do not try this at home.
Right. So that's right. So we underwrite in these categories: industry and corporate, technology and personnel. First off, industry. We need to know whether the industry is growing, where our prospective investment fits within the overall category, and what our prospects are to have a successful investment. During this phase, we set a pre-money valuation of the company. This is not like Shark Tank. We're actually doing deep work here. And that's what determines how much of this company will be ours when we sell it.
Or when we take it public or spin it off. For this component of underwriting, we have former Lehman Brothers bankers who prepare extensive reports for us. The corporate underwriting is equally challenging. We need to know how is the company managed, and we need to dig around to see what, for instance, their bookkeeping looks like, what their employees think about working there, just the entire picture of what it is inside their business.
Yeah, if nothing surprising comes along.
Yeah, and we get positive forecasts of how we may exit.
Then Then we move to the more nitty-gritty work, where we take a look under the covers at the technology. We use specialized experts in tech review to make sure the code looks clean and there are no obvious instances of stepping on somebody else's intellectual property or patents.
And finally, we move to personnel. We use Kroll or similar risk underwriters to look at who's running the company and whether there's anything in their past that might need to worry about. We have to be careful here. Sometimes people do have blemishes on their records, as well, we've come to see a lot recently. And then we need to make a decision as to whether we think that someone is manageable or whether we think they're a deal killer. But for the most part, it's really about identifying whether there are issues, because management of a big past problem is probably not something that we think is going to work.
Absolutely. And all these steps are important and they're expensive, but they're great use of our capital and your capital as investors. But we have to do it. It's easy to fall in love with the company and its management and all that. We like this person, they're great. But in our business, we cannot let emotions rule these decisions. So we rely on all this background and the underwriters and the Lehman Brothers folks, ex-Lehman Brothers folks, to actually take a look at all these things so we don't fall in love with the company because we like them or they seem great. So that's some of the work that we do.
Hey, Eric, a couple of questions have come in while we've been speaking. Here's one. Couldn't I do all these things myself? Eric,
well, yes, sure, I'll take that one. Well, when we underwrite, we probably have, again, 6 to 12 people looking at various aspects of the company. And then we turn the documentation over to our lawyers. We have phenomenal lawyers. And I wouldn't want to be the one doing it all or trying to get it right.
Here's another. What kind of report do you get back? Alice, you want to take this one?
Sure. We get written commentary on industry, where the company fits within it, and personnel. We get additional written reports on technology if it's warranted, and we get written diligence reports from our lawyers in the deal phase.
There are a few more questions, but looking at the time, let's bring this one home. We'll answer the rest on the website when we post the video. Let's run through the slides we prepared about Seismic itself. After all, we want folks to know about us and about our offerings that are in the market right now. Alice, you want to talk about capital formation?
Yeah, that'd be great. So what we find is the most interesting about where we are right now is that we're really placed ourselves as something different. We welcome investors at all income levels. So we have both accredited and non-accredited investors, institutional investors, high net worth individuals, family offices. We provide for private placement for the traditional investors in this space, as well as also having a Regulation A SEC qualified offering that is available for both accredited and non-accredited investors. But we really wanted to be not only doing things different with, for instance, allowing non-accredited investors a way in, but also we want to place ourselves on the same level with everyone else. So everybody gets the same shares of stock. Nobody's treated differently. There are no capital calls, no fees, no holding periods. And we also have our beneficial tax structure, which is our qualified small business shares, which for most people means if they hold the stock for 5 years, they'll have next to no or no capital gains taxes that would be paid. We're really looking to produce VC level returns for our investors. And there are different ways that they're going to be able to benefit from that. Could be distributions on a sale or IPO, dividends, or again, as mentioned before, the tax protected gain from our QSBS.
Yes, that moves it to the next slide.
Yeah, it's the next slide, right?
And maybe I'll take this one. So when Eric and I started coming up with the idea of Seismic and then bringing our other partners in, what we realized was we didn't really like the existing venture capital model. We don't like the idea that companies have to raise capital based on milestones. We don't think that's productive. We've seen too many companies miss their milestone and then end up in a death spiral. So what we decided we would do was we would work on a calendar basis, like everyone else on the planet. And we commit 2 years of capital up front. We revisit the budget every 6 months. We make sure that our companies have the wherewithal to respond to market changes and respond to strategy changes. So what we're doing is we're providing patient capital to allow our companies to get the job done right, not just fast. Since we're in a holding company structure, we want to make sure that we are treating our companies and giving our entrepreneurs the incentives that they need in order to have the kind of return that they would get if they were in a traditional venture capital setting. So we reward participation, we reward leadership, we reward individual achievement. At the end of the day, when we sell the company or we take it public or we spin it off, we treat our entrepreneurs the way they would be treated and compensated by a regular venture capital company. We also believe that, and we know that from a study we did of over 40,000 companies, that companies can get mired in two really significant places that stop them from achieving their goals. One is they run out of capital. And as we already covered, we're providing them with patient long-term capital that lets them get the job done. The other is they get caught up in the business of running the business rather than the business of growing the business. So we've set up our holding company. So when a company comes into it, Seismic takes over all the administrative functions, the things that can really get in the way of creating a viable, thriving enterprise. So legal, accounting, HR, benefits, and so forth, we do that. Our companies can focus on the things that really make them special, developing the technology, building the products, and acquiring customers. We provide blue chip benefits so that our entrepreneurs and their families don't have to worry about, are they going to hit a medical issue that's going to bankrupt them? We're not interested in that. We also want our entrepreneurs to be able to pay their mortgage or their rent. So we pay competitive salaries. And because we do that, we can attract really top talent. And as I mentioned before, we offer VC level upside to the employees so that they and our entrepreneurs so that we can build really awesome teams. Eric mentioned our board of advisors. We use them internally to look at transactions, help us think things through. We also make them available to all of our portfolio companies. Folks that we have on our board of advisors have been involved in practically every aspect of growing companies, building companies, selling companies, getting notice for their companies, and so forth. And our entrepreneurs have access to them to think through a problem, brainstorm, open a door, really whatever's needed. And I guess lastly, I want to point out that we have a strong values statement on our website. It's the first page we put up. It's what we're about. It's what we want our companies to be about. We want to leave the world better off than we came into it, or at least not worse. Nice. So with that, I think I turn it over to who? Eric, slide 5.
Right. Well, these again, I mentioned earlier some of the companies that that we, they were looking to move forward with and sign deals with and fund. And it's funny, Steve was talking about our board of advisors. One of our board of advisors is now working with this company number 1, and that's it's run by it's a gaming company. It's online gaming, and it's run by a former EA CTO. And it's infrastructure software for 5G networks, manages the network latency, so no player has a geographical advantage if they're further away from a cell tower and so forth. The current clients include Microsoft, AT&T, and Google, among others. The status of that is a signed MOU. We are finalizing the contracts. It should be done in a couple of weeks. The diligence is complete. The underwriting is complete in general. So it's actually in the hands of the lawyers, and we're just about done with that. And we have a $10 million of funding at a $25 million pre-money valuation. The next company that's getting close as well, and it's right behind that first company, is it's run by an ex-American Express financial leadership team, executives. It's a toolbox for businesses, leaders to motivate sales forces and clientele. They use movie clips that are exclusive there, and they have exclusive contracts with a couple of the major studios. And one of the reasons we're going to be investing in them, they'll be able to add to that their content list with other studios. We have a signed MOU with them as well. And again, it's in the hands of the lawyers as well. And that should follow up pretty fast after the gaming company is done here early in the middle of this month. And the other company is a women's health company, a terrific former GE healthcare executive doctor. It's apps and services for care for postpartum women at a time when the focus is not typically on their own health. They've done a terrific job, terrific leadership, and we're negotiating an MOU with them right now. We've done most of the underwriting as well, so that's done. And the fourth company is a company that's come back to us. We originally liked them about a year ago, and they had some issues here and there, but it's come back to us in a terrific way. We like them very much. It's a bunch of USC PhDs in 3D printing. And they've created a software and production platform that's dramatically shortens the time for design and implementation of the parts for products, whether it's aerospace or whatever it may be. And it's an opportunity to design and print metal parts on demand, on site, and not take all the tooling and all the time necessary. They can do it right then and there. And it's also located here in Southern California, which is very close to us as well. And right now, the status is MOUs being negotiated, and our underwriting is complete.
It's probably worth noting that all these things take a lot of steps, and a lot of detail, and a lot of underwriting, which was our topic for today. I think our viewers could get a sense of how many activities need to go on to even just bring an investment into our portfolio before we start to work with the company to build it and grow it and eventually sell it. And I think we wanted to make the point earlier on that this is not for the faint at heart, not something you want to try to do on your own. And it's part of what we bring Seismic to the table as we grow our investors' money and create returns. I think we need the next page.
Next slide. Yep.
Alice, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I'll grab this one. So while we do a lot of the underwriting, there's still some underwriting that people might want to do on us. And that is one of the benefits that we see of having our SEC qualified Regulation A offering. It's available for people to take a look at and can get a deeper dive into who we are and what we're doing. We have that, as indicated, currently open with a minimum investment of $1,000. We are thinking that the pricing may be going up on that. But currently it's available at $5.50 a share for a minimum of $1,000 for both accredited and non-accredited investors. We have also recently opened up a private placement that has two different components to it. A minimum investment of $50,000 at a discounted share price of $5 a share, and a minimum investment of $250,000 gets both the discounted $5 a share price as well as 3-year warrants to purchase additional shares. So lots of different opportunities to explore. We are completely available both on our website and as well as indicated there at my email address. And I'm always available to answer any questions, as are all of us. And we look forward to hearing from people. So we thank you for your time today. Again,
let's put up the next slide so everyone can see us saying thank you.
Oh, yeah, right.
So here we are again, and again, feel free to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. So thanks for your time today.
And let's put up the safe harbor slide so that we make sure all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And thank you, everybody. I think this is a great webinar.
It was terrific. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.